took was that together with this foundation course, there's a new system of renewal of membership in the ANC, a recruitment of members into the ANC, and that new system also looks at who are you and why do you want to join the ANC? Because so that we are able at the very beginning, firstly to attract the best brains and the people with the best intentions as South Africans who have a good track record of working in communities. We want to attract those into the ranks of the ANC. So we do it both ways. On the one hand, we train the members who are there, but on the other hand, we also want to reorganize the ANC, even the way we
decided to launch a foundational course that is going to help revive our organization, but in a number of ways it also reconnects us.
Spoken a lot about the ANC being out of touch with reality. This one is the last straw. So, according to them, you need to attend around 5 modules, and all cadres, all comrades must finish these 5 modules by 2027. And ideally and idealistically, it is the measure of which they would know if this cadre is the rightful one as a member. And if they do all of those things, then they'll get the ANC back to the right path. Someone said, all of this stunts, this shenanigans, is just the ANC, the elites in the ANC trying to get back to themselves being elitists and getting rid of chunk. He of course could be right or could be wrong, but does it help the ANC? I bet no, and I bet you'd also know that it doesn't help the ANC. The ANC knows what they did wrong. What they did wrong is their comrades are alleged to be people who are stealing, people who are killing, people who have hijacked the party and where it operates into a place where once you go you can't come back. And that's why you see comrades, once they become a mayor or something, it's very difficult for them to come back, because if you remove that person, chances are the political violence will start. That's why even a mere position of a ward councillor is fought for, and people get killed for that, and they blame that, the whole entirety, on the African National Congress. How do I come up to this? I come up to this because the ANC tells us so. Thabo Mbeki tells us so. ANC comes and apologizes to us every time there's elections and tell us all of these things. This is what the ANC tells us. It's not us. They tell us that they go to polls and these polls are telling them this. I mean, whenever they go to the public, they tell us the people are angry with us. We apologize. This is what we're going to do in fixing all these problems. At some point, people were saying Jacob Zuma was corrupt because he's not educated. And I would point to Mugabe to say Mugabe is one of the most educated presidents in the world. But if you hear a narrative about him, they will give you a narrative that he is corrupt. You understand? So, and it's very difficult to prove corruption. It's very difficult. A case in point, in fact, let's talk about this. Did you guys watch Clement Manyathela mopping the floor with with Pulemabe. Pulemabe is a champion spokesperson. Champion. I used to say this when Zizi Kodwa spoke for the ANC. I say Zizi Kodwa is a very good spokesperson. The problem with that is, no matter how good you are, it depends what you are spinning. So you can't spin everything out of a mess. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So I think, well, as a media practitioner myself, I think the mistake Pulemabe did was, and this is where the interview went south. You know, when you have defenses, you can't have a media defense, a political defense, and a court defense. Pulemabe steps out of court. He addresses his supporters, Jacob Zuma style. And then from there, he veers off his script. And then he starts saying, is it wrong when we give our women money? You see, that very line, it threw him off because he could not defend it when he got to Clement Manyatela. Manyatela latched on it. But all the other things, I'm being honest with you, this is why I'm telling you that proving corruption is very difficult. All the other things that he speaks about, they are on par, they are on top, and I agree with him. A tender was issued, and don't misconstrue what I say. I agree with him with me saying he's innocent. I'm saying I agree with him. And I agree with the fact that it's very difficult to prove corruption because a lot of people are going to get off this ledge. The ANC, no matter how much schools they do, this is the problem they're going to face. To get rid of people they deem as corruption. Pulemabe did not hold a gun and demand a tender. A tender was issued. Enviro Mubi went through that. They did it legally. They were given that thing legally. And they, Enviro Mubi, begged the department, according to him, begged the department to say, hey, Muna, your cars are here. Come and take them. Where do you want us to take the cars? He says, I can't answer what they did. But the long and short of it is, he was sent to go and buy cars that are environmentally friendly, and he went and bought cars. And if you want to put spies, you'll put spies on with those Enviromobis where they were kept. There were hailstorms, and after a hailstorm you need to repair. And well, I don't want to say at what cost the repairs normally goes to, because he procured those things and he needed to give them the disc licenses. I mean, they have to go to an e-notice system, and when the venue for keeping those things it started becoming difficult, they had to source money from government to say, hey, Pella, those things I need to pay for them where I'm keeping them, and money was splashed, and so no matter what people see, you can't say to Pulemabe and environment, maybe, by the way, Pulemabe says he's no longer the director there, and his wife, he can't quantify what his wife was doing. It doesn't matter. Like I say, I've listened to Pulemabe saying this a lot of time. Pulemabe speaks very well. It's clear he did not do any corruption. The onus of proof lies with those guys. So, for example, he speaks about administrative errors, accounting irregularities, the terms, this fruitful expenditure, and what. Those are the things that they can get him. But where they can prove corruption, I do not know. I honestly do not know. Unless they've got other things, and we'll see it in court. But Pulemabe and other ANC comrades are going to be very difficult to be convicted. And there's the problem the ANC faces. Not taking people to school. You can't take a person to school to make sure that they do not steal. And then in some of those modules, those modules that comrades are expected to pass is the history of the ANC and stuff. So let's say you know who Lembede and Moroka are, and you are hungry, and an opportunity is presented to you to make a choice that do you go home saying Amandla, or do you go home with something to go and give your wife and kids who, like yourself, are not employed, but they are volunteers of the ANC. Lembede is not going to matter who Lembede is. So the problem with educated people is they think uneducated people are fools. I mean, you can't tell me that the ANC elite, because I think this is an elitist agenda. You can't tell me the ANC elites think people who are downtrodden would think, yeah, ANC is dealing with the thieves that are taking them to school, so let's vote for them. Or the joke could be on all of us, because maybe those ANC voters believe it, and the ANC knows that even if it's absurd, even if it's ridiculous, their voters will keep voting for them. It could be true. I mean, what else can we prove? So let's listen to some more of what other people are saying, and then maybe let's find a way to wrap it up.
I don't know, though, if you need to be schooled in order for you not to steal.
Indeed.
And not to be corrupt.
What the party is saying is that the political landscape keeps changing. So the vision of the ANC itself has to also change with that change in the political landscape.
But ethics, morality, those things don't change. As he says, if you want to attract the best brains and the best intentions, those people will know or should know what to do. That you do not neglect people. You deliver the services to them. The professor I just spoke to now, when we were talking about this death because of pesticide toxicity and all of that stuff. The origins of this thing, as she was saying, it's poverty. People have rats and mice, you know, in their homes because they live in very poor areas, you know. They earn very little, if any, income. There's no service delivery, and those are the conditions that then breed all these other things. I don't know if these things get solved by political education.
The ANC seems to believe that this is a starting point. So this is just a starting point that it's going to educate all of the members, starting from the leaders, in particular when it comes to issues such as governance, proper governance structures and the separation of powers, because the party believes that most of the leaders that were currently in office right now did not know how to separate the powers. But needing a leadership that is ethical, the party has said that when it comes to issues of succession, we should not have anyone pronouncing themselves when it comes to that. But we saw in one of the Sunday papers as well, the deputy president of the ANC going out there and saying that he is ready to be given that responsibility. So this goes against everything that was being spoken about this whole entire weekend.
So if you were presented with a scenario where you because it's not failing, you do not fail those modules. It's just an assessment, certificate of attendance, and the ANC, you are presented with a situation where you need to vote, or you need to have confidence. You are on the fence. They say voters who are on the fence, and you are told that the ANC will take people to school. ANC says it has vetted over 600,000 members. ANC is the biggest political party in South Africa by numbers. So if the ANC says it has 1 million or 2 million members, so the ANC claims it will educate all of those things. If you're sitting with that situation, someone tells you that, but the very same person has failed to educate on basics, failed to educate certain things in society. Maybe let me just give you an example. There are a lot of people who are still not abed ready. When I say abed ready, I'm talking about functional adults who are at work and in society who do not have an abed class. who has not had an Abet class. And this Abet class, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean someone is going to look for, but just to be functional. You know, there are people, I'm told, there are people who can't operate the ATM, not because they're too scared or anything, but honestly, they cannot understand what the ATM says to them. I'm just giving you an example of people who are Abet ready, because literacy of South Africa is among the very best in the world for a counter-punching like us. But I'm just telling you that ANC does not have money to pay its employees, but it was to roll out a program where they're going to bring people to come and teach their members about 4 or 5 modules. The ANC is playing games, man. Those are not priorities. Priorities are, you can imagine if those people offering those classes were people who are coming into townships and the ANC gives them stipend to go and double check municipal bylaws. I mean, bylaws are very important. Those people who are, even if they are wearing ANC things, but they go and check municipal bylaws from spaza shops, you see, there are communities who complain that this place has high speed, high chances of killing someone, and we want to erect a speed hump just to curb that accident before it happens. All of those things, these educators, this program could go into something like that where the community will feel. I think that's more realistic than this big thing of the ANC trying to pretend or baka educate all their members about things like, I'm thinking, man, so if I pass all these 5 modules or I do well, will I vote for the ANC? People are not joining the ANC. By the way, let's talk about this thing of accusing people that they want careers. It's because of the careers. Everyone who's joined, including Floyd Shivambu, of course, they are accused that, no, he went there for bread. Guys, what must they go for? It's his career. The same way, you are not selling out when you leave ESCOM to go and join private sector. You are not a sellout. You are going to provide your services and skills to another organization that can pay you better or secure financial prosperity for you and your kids. A sellout, by definition, according to Politically Incorrect podcast, a sellout is someone who would, at CODESA, they say we've got 50 million Africans who are not in pension schemes, in school. This is what you can make money off. About these ones, the ones who are working, you can register them for UIF. You can, and then you make money, and then they say, what is it that you have for me? But no, for bringing this lot, this is the money. You are going to get shares in Lonmin, you're going to get shares in Sanlam. You and your comrades will have millions. The Mandela family will have donations of millions. All these people will have friends of the Oppenheimers, the Minels, and then they become rich without us knowing what commodity did they sell, because the economy is not a fool. You can't have money. You can't have something without having procured it. If you were given it because of something. That's why it's not a donation. So their riches is not a donation. All of them, their riches is not a donation. They had to, there was leverage somewhere. They had to sell something. They had to avail certain opportunities for them to be given those millions. If you don't believe me, it's fine. You can go and ask at Anglo to acquire their shares. They'll ask money, and someone needs to come and speak on your behalf. You will not get the millions that those families have. When those people came from exile, they did not work anywhere. I keep repeating this on this podcast, but Thabo Mbeki had never had employment when he was in exile and when he was here, never worked anywhere. He came here, they did not have any place to. Who was paying for their flats? This is the part about the struggle that the ANC doesn't want us to speak. Who was paying for those people? These big billionaire families that we call Stellenbosch Mafia, that I always say we're not going to apologize by categorizing the message. These families are the families that took care of these comrades. By the way, let me again repeat that the EFF, MK, and ANC are probably sponsored by the same people. So if you wish MK to replace these guys, who will give MK money? How will MK raise their money? Listen to many of their podcasts, many of their press conferences, and the president speaking and everything. And I made a podcast approaching the elections when that Liebenberg guy was disrespectfully speaking about how he gave Zuma money, he gave the king of the Zulus money in a way that was not respectful. So who's going to give MK money to change the status quo? Ask yourself. You might hate because I'm asking this question, but I'm asking it. Who will give MK party money to change the status quo? Just ask yourself that, because running elections and running political campaigns is so exorbitant. We're talking about billions. Someone will come and tell you it's not about billions, it's billions. It's billions. Many months ago, 10 years maybe, Mama Action, she came and said she ran the political campaign of ANC at $1 billion, and she was then corrected. But look, all I'm saying is sometimes we do things just because we must be seen to be doing them. But whether we believe it will happen or we don't believe it will happen, it's something else. As an African, do you think being educated by the ANC will make you a better voter, or the ANC people who are voted because they read those 5 modules, do you think those people will take care of you better? Mission politically incorrect. Let's leave it at that. Thank you. Itada.